Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please, inshallah, before I begin, I do ask for anyone who needs to have conversations, please go into the hallway, inshallah, so that the congregation can benefit, inshallah. So whoever was with us, inshallah, on Wednesday night, then I talked about the season of increase and how during the month of Ramadan specifically, all of the doors of goodness are open and our good deeds, they increase. And along with that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He would multiply our reward. So not only does the good deeds increase, but the reward that we attain for doing good deeds is also multiplied. And along with that, also our bad deeds, they decrease as well. And today, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I want to now connect this same paradigm or the same pattern to the eternal reality that has actually facilitated this opportunity of increase in good and decrease in bad. And that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, two of His names, one of them being Ash-Shakur and the other being Al-Ghafur. The name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ash-Shakur, and the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Ghafur. Right? And actually the name Ash-Shakur, every time it is mentioned in the Quran, it is coupled with an attribute of forgiveness or forbearance. Right? And any time that we see the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coupled together, that should be a stopping point for us. And we should ask ourselves, how do these names work together to tell us of the perfection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? And the name Ash-Shakur, which translates to mean the all appreciative, it also carries the connotation of increase. So Ash-Shakur is the one who takes the good that we do and He appraises it at a value beyond what it is actually worth. Right? It's not really worth what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala treats it as or appraises it as. So for example, you fast 1 month of Ramadan and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He treats it as though you have fasted for 10 months by multiplying the reward by 10, right? Or you fast the 1 day, for example, the day of Arafah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meets that with 2 years of forgiveness, right? So He appraises the good deeds that we do at a value that is beyond what it is actually worth. And if you look into the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at the verses that mention the name Ash-Shakur, and there are only 4, 3 out of 4 specifically mention increase. As Allah ta'ala, He says, لِيُوَفِّيَهُمْ أُجُورَهُمْ وَيَزِيدَهُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِ إِنَّهُ غَفُورٌ شَكُورٌ. That He would pay them back entirely for whatever they did. And on top of that, وَيَزِيدَهُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِ, and He would increase them from His extra bounties. Who is the one who is doing that? إِنَّهُ غَفُورٌ شَكُورٌ. He is the one who is forgiving, and He is the one who is all appreciative. He is the one who appraises your good deeds at a value beyond what they are actually worth. And in the other verse He said, وَمَن يَقْتَرِفْ حَسَنَةً نَزِدْ لَهُ فِيهَا حُسْنًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ Ghafurun Shakur. That whoever puts forth any good, then we increase him therein in goodness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is forgiving and He is all appreciative. And Imam al-Shanawi, he mentioned the 3rd verse when he said, إِن تُقْرِضُ اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا يُضَاعِفْهُ لَكُمْ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ شَكُورٌ حَلِيمٌ. That if you were to loan Allah a good loan, then Allah, He would multiply it. He would increase that loan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is all appreciative And he is Halim. He is forbearing, which is another attribute of forgiveness. Now the question remains, why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or how do these two names speak of the perfection of Allah? Well, if Ash-Shakur is the one who takes the good and he increases it, then Al-Ghafur is the one who takes the bad and he reduces it and he conceals it and he overlooks it and he treats it as though it had never happened, right? And Al-Ghafur is different from Al-Ghafar. Al-Ghafar is about perpetual forgiveness, Al-Kathra wal-Kamiyya, the abundance of sins. But Al-Ghafur is about the size and the magnitude of the sin. So to be more precise and to be more perfect, Ash-Shakur is the one who takes that which is small and positive and he amplifies it and he increases it. And Al-Ghafur is the one that takes that which is negative and big and he minimizes it and he reduces it and he treats it as though it never happened. And so when we read the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should stop and we should pause. And we should ask ourselves that question, how is this speaking of the perfection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because we learn about the perfection of his goodness. And when you learn about the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this should stimulate in us the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How good is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This should bring about praise in us and yearning to seek nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the month of Ramadan that we are in, this is the perfect opportunity for us to experience Ash-Shakur and to experience Al-Ghafur. And to close, another way that we see the manifestation of these two names is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of his shukr, he would forgive you. And out of his maghfirah, he would increase you. So take, for example, the prostitute and the dog. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he appreciated the act of the prostitute who gave water to the dog so much that he forgave her of her previous sins, right? Likewise, Nuh alayhi salam, the inverse, that out of his forgiveness he would increase you. As Nuh alayhi salam, he said, فَقُلْتُ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ غَفَّارًا يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا وَيُمْدِدْكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ جَنَّاتٍ وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ أَنْهَارًا. Right? Nuh alayhi salam told his people to seek the forgiveness of their Lord. Indeed, he is ever forgiving. And he said, and he promised to them, and this could only be by the inspiration of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if you seek his forgiveness, then he will cause the skies to rain down upon you in abundance, and he will expand you in your wealth and in your children, and he will make for you gardens, and he will make for you rivers. So as we spend this time in the month of Ramadan reading the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make sure that our heart is turned in the direction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we're looking deeper in those verses that mention his attributes to understand the deeper meaning, as every verse is its very own dimension of insight. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase you, and may he increase me in goodness. Allahumma ameen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وأستغفرك وأتوب إليك. بارك الله فيكم. جزاكم الله خيرا. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.